This is WFAN's Out to the Cage with your host Pete Hoffman and Ike Feldman, and we are being joined right now by co-star of Kevin Can Wait, Officer Nick Dawson is in the house. Chris Weidman, how you doing? Welcome, man.
Thank you. Round of applause for that guy.
By the way, so yes, you're fighting at April 8th, UFC 210, but explain to me how you connected with Kevin James and how that process started with you acting.
He was a fan of the UFC for a while. He doesn't watch too much actually anymore. But about 3 years ago, because he's a Long Island guy, and I'm a Long Island guy, so he kind of connected with me. He came down to watch me work out once, and we literally clicked. This might be like 5 years ago now that I'm thinking about it.
Did he work out with you? Is the question.
He can. By the way, he worked out with me and John Vellante once. He kind of put us to shame.
What?
Yeah, you wouldn't think that.
He's a big dude.
Listen, I'm thinking. I see him. All right, fat celebrity. All right, let's not do anything. I'm not expecting much. This guy is probably number one. He's probably one of the most competitive people I know. But that doesn't do much for you as an athlete. As an athlete, he's extremely athletic. He went to he actually played football at Cortland University, but he knocked a couple homers out of Citi Field.
Damn.
He smokes me in bowling, and believe me, I don't like to admit this all, but it is a great story to hear a guy that looks like him. Really, he could tool most people I know in most sports.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
he doesn't look it at all.
No, he doesn't look at it at all.
He's got the Roy Nelson going.
He got the Roy. Believe me, it's mind-boggling. The first time he came and worked out, and I was like, whoa. Me and Vellante are doing strength training. John Vellante, he played in the NFL for 4 days, but he's also known as a UFC fighter. He's also a UFC fighter. But he's known as a good athlete. He's pretty damn strong, and so we're doing deadlifts, and Kevin comes in, and obviously we know what your perception of him is, and he comes in and just starts doing the same weight as us. At first we're like, yeah, well, you want to throw some lighter weight on for you. He crushes. I mean, I'm struggling. I'm the worst weightlifter.
What are you benching right there? What are you putting on?
I usually do 4 or 5, 10 times, but he was doing 525. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, get the hell, this is all BS right now.
I don't bench, bro. I don't bench press.
Well, Chris, it's a couple days out from your fight against Gegard Mousasi at UFC 210. When we last spoke to you for your fight at 205, you said you wanted to bulk up, be a little stronger with the Yoel Romero, walking around heavier. Now, Gegard, obviously a slender, more leaner 185er. What are you walking around now? Did you slim down to improve your cardio?
No. I'm basically the same weight I've been before every one of my fights. I always like to get down to around 200 pounds the week before the fight. And then from there, I cut to 185. So right now I'm probably 201, well, during the day I'm probably 203, but I wake up around 200 is where I try to be at this point. During camp, when I'm training, I'm 205 usually.
Nice.
Waking up, and I'm probably 210 during the day.
Do you ever have an issue cutting weight? Because there's a lot of fighters recently. Khabib is one of the most recent who has had major issues cutting weight. Is that ever an issue to you? Have you ever run into oh boy, I'm not sure if I'm going to make the cut, first of all, and B, maybe my body might be shutting down?
No. Yes, I've had that, but only on very short notice fights. Every time I have full notice, towards the last little bit of a last pound, sometimes a little harder, a little tougher to get off, but that's pretty much normal. But for my Damian Maia fight, I took that on 10 days notice. I was 218 pounds when I accepted the phone call to take the fight. Then I ate dinner. I thought they were going to do a catch weight with me, and they're like, oh no, we'll just go somewhere else. And at this time, Damian Maia was ranked 5th in the world, and I might have been 10, 11, something like that. So to get an opportunity to fight like that, to fight a guy like that in the top 5 is really hard to get when I was kind of a no-name at that point. So I really wanted to take the fight, plus I needed to pay some taxes. I'm like, I really need to take this fight. And they said no to the catch weight. I'm like, come on, it's 10 days notice. Who else are you going to get? They're like, we'll find someone else. I'm like, all right, I'll take it. And I figured, all right, I'll figure out a way to make weight. So I said on record I cut 32 pounds in 10 days, but it was probably more than that because I ate dinner thinking I was going to have a catch weight. Then I got the call back. So I was probably more 35 pounds in 10 days. On top of that, I had dealt with my uncle dying. It was a disaster of a whole week. But my body shut down. We went into the sauna. I did the weight cut in the beginning started normal, other than eating just peanut butter for a spoonful of peanut butter every day because I had to cut so much weight, which is not normal. But actually, when I came down to cutting the weight the day before, I did the sauna suit. I was the treadmill, elliptical, and the weight came off. I lost 6-7 pounds. And I'm like, all right, now I'm going to be good. The last 5-6 pounds or whatever it was was literally a nightmare. I hardly remember most of it. I was being picked up by my teammates. I was blacking out completely. I literally remember I went into the sauna and everybody there was seeing it. My coaches literally had tears in their eyes. They wanted to cancel the whole thing. I'm like, no, we're doing this. I went into the sauna and I said, all right, we're going to do 15 minutes. And when you're dying, I was pretty much dying. When you're in that state, when you got nothing left and you're standing up, you're blacking out every single time, and you tell yourself you're going to do 15 minutes, that's a lot. 15 minutes in the sauna. You expect, all right, at the end of this, I'm going to lose like 1.5 pounds. And at that point, I would have been like maybe still 0.5 pound over. So I had maybe 2 pounds to go. I step in the sauna, I do 15 minutes. It was torturous to be in there because you really have nothing coming out. You're sucked dry. I come out, I black out on my way to the towels. Like they drive me off. They bring me to the scale. I gained 0.1.
What?
I gained 1/10 pound.
From what?
Somehow. Just
Someone was feeding you peanut butter.
Probably water on me still. My sweat. I don't know. I was so sucked out that I was actually absorbing my own sweat. I don't know. What do I know? I gained 1/10 of a pound. That everybody. This is all. Other people would have my back on this. It was terrible, and I started breaking. I was like breaking down. I was crying a little bit, and maybe that's why it helped me lose some weight. I shed some tears. It was probably a good thing. And then somehow I just kept throwing myself back in the sauna 5 minutes at a time, and the next thing I know, I made the weight. But I remember for the commission that they ask you your birthday, your name, where you're from. Simple, very easy questions. I remember my coach telling me, "Listen, Chris, you're gonna have to, you know, your name, your birthday. You have to know these things." I remember focusing so hard to walk up there, look clear, and be able to answer these questions. I remember when they were asking my name, struggling to get it out of me. Get the words out, and my birthday, concentrating on what my birthday. I was in such a terrible state. That's why so I made the weight. I don't know how. I really don't know how. And now that really gave me a whole nother perspective on weight cutting and a found respect for it. It's not a game. That's why that fight is probably one of my biggest victories inside my own head, because it wasn't the best fight. I found the way to win the fight. It was sloppy. It was ugly, looking from the outside in. I had a lot of critics who were watching the fight. Oh, Weidman sucks. He's not what everybody was saying he was going to be. But believe me, the fact that I got into that octagon and found the way to win after going through what I went through, plus I wasn't in shape at all. I was out of shape taking the fight on 10 days' notice and against a very good guy in Damian Maia.
Oh, hell yeah.
That was one of my most prideful UFC fights.
Yeah, man, I've sorry to cut you off.
No, go for it.
We've heard your coach talk about just about that moment. He said he wanted you to pull out of that fight. He said it's not worth it. But
make sure to ask Longo about this. I had my one strength coach. He was at the time, his name was Goran. He's like an Eastern European monster guy. I was still 2 pounds over. We step on the scale. You're done. It's perfect. I seen the weight. You're underweight. You're good. I'm like, I'm not. I wish I was, but I'm not. What are you talking? No, I seen it. You're done. You're done. He just, in his mind, I think he actually manipulated himself into believing that he saw me underweight just so he couldn't watch me. I was done. He literally didn't. I guess he just didn't want to see me die. So, I don't know.
Going forward, though, would you want any changes? Would you want... Because Rogan talks about this all the time. I know he does the hippie grass and he thinks all these crazy things on his podcast, but he's talked about these fighters that what they walk around with, make it a full-time job, your weight, your nutrition, what you walk around at. It'd be maybe you versus Gegard at 200. It doesn't have to be at 185. Is there anything you want to change, or do you like it how it is and fighters just have to be more disciplined?
I kind of like what he's saying, but the problem is if you make... if you kind of make it that way, everyone's always going to look for an advantage. Everyone's going to always want to be a pound or two heavier because it makes a difference. Either way you do it, I feel like there's going to be something that people are figuring out a way to do.
There's always a loophole.
Yeah, I think the extra day, the early weigh-ins they're doing now, I think is a good thing. I don't know if anybody's. I think people smartened up a little bit. I don't think people are cutting as crazy as weight anymore. I don't think as much. I think people are getting a little bit more professional. It used to be a thing, everybody would blow up to crazy weights. I used to blow up to 230. I haven't been 230 in years. I used to be a fat mess. Just eat and drink as much as I possibly
Rumble.
can.
You ever see Rumble years ago when he was 170? The dude was walking around.
We're again stung by bees. Now it's a little different. I feel like people are a little bit more professional. That's not good for your body. You're not going to perform good. You feel way better when you stay lighter. So I think the good guys are being a little bit smarter now.
Nice. Now, So
I haven't put
it.
too much thought into what the right thing to do with that is, but there probably should be something different. I don't know.
Now, get into some of the fights in the cage. First of all, I just want to know the experience. I mean, we saw Anderson Silva up close in Brooklyn. You fought him twice. How is it fighting a guy that was dominating the middleweight division like that for years? You step in and you beat him. Give me that outlook from you taking a look back at that fight.
I mean, it was a dream come true. Dream come true on a whole nother stratosphere. It was unbelievable. First of all, when I got into the sport, Anderson Silva was known as the greatest of all time already. He was the champion of the weight class that I decided I was going to fight in. I was still living in my parents' basement. I was just learning how to strike, and he was the guy to beat in my weight. Obviously, it was going to take a long time for me to get to the point I was even in the UFC, and then the fact of actually fighting the champion, Anderson Silva, it was going to take a while, but that was the guy I always imagined beating. That was the guy I always, you always want to, if you're doing this, you want to become the best in the world. That was always my eyes. That's what my eyes were set on. So he was the best in the world. That's the guy I was training for. It wasn't really my next opponent in the ring combat. So the fact that I finally got to the point where I'm fighting the guy not too long after I just started, the guy that everybody that I watched completely rip apart, just smoke through everybody. Beat them before they get in the cage, and when they get in there, he just puts his hands down, makes them miss, he lets them punch him, and then when he wants to, knocks them out. That's the guy that I believed and knew I was going to beat, and everyone was laughing at me. Everyone was laughing at me, besides the people that see me go through the process of my coaches, my friends, my teammates. Everybody else thought I was a big joke. The fact that I was confident, and I was actually one of the first people to say, I'm going to beat him, I'm not only going to beat him, I'm going to finish him. I knew it and I believed it. And I was being laughed at. And the fact that I was able to go out there and do what I said I was going to do and say, hi, look, and just look at all those people in the faces, all those people who thought it was all a joke. And it was just an amazing feeling. Not only did I win the belt, I accomplished the dream, proved all these people wrong, and then beat the guy I wanted to beat since I started the sport. It was everything I could ever imagine. Besides the fact that everybody, afterwards, I go in the press conference, the first thing that comes out, hey, everybody's saying that you got lucky because he put his hands down. That's the first question I get. And I'm like, you freaking kidding me? You're taking this away from me? All right, you know what? I don't care because we're going to have a rematch. We're doing an instant rematch, even though at the time Anderson was like, no rematch because he's champion. I'm like, no, we're doing a rematch. We're doing a rematch.
I don't like takedown.
Yeah. No, it's too much. He's too strong and tough. So then we get the second match, and again, I knew I was going to beat him. And again, I addressed the leg kicks. If you watch the first fight, I know it's hard for people to even hear this, but if you watch the first fight, the only thing he actually hit me with the whole time was leg kicks, lots of them. And I was having trouble walking for like 3 weeks after the first fight.
Sure.
I mean, I was on cloud 9, but I couldn't walk. And the one thing we addressed during the whole training camp was, listen, he's going to come back with the kicks because they work for him. Obviously, you're going to have to worry about other things. He's going to put his hands up this time, you think, because of how much heat he got, even though that's how he really made his career was doing that because it's effective. So we addressed the leg kicks in camp. I checked the leg kicks, and then in the fight, this is what happened, and a lot of people haven't really analyzed it enough to see it. In the second round, he threw his leg. The first round, I dropped him with a punch to the temple. He went down, and I almost finished him, and I finished the whole round pretty much on the ground on top of him, with ground and pound. In the second round, the first time ever, I checked one of his leg kicks. He set it with his punches, and I was ready for it. Boom! I checked one of his leg kicks, and at that time, I'm like, wow, I did it. I freaking checked one of his leg kicks. I'm proud. All right. I felt everything was perfect because he actually had his hands up. It was just, I seen everything. I just saw
Slow
everything
motion.
coming. It was slow motion. Then what he did was he got emotional. I think he was frustrated. He realized I checked his leg kick for the first time. I didn't check one of his leg kicks the first fight. I checked his leg kick now. For the first time, he doesn't set up his leg kick. He wings it as hard as he can. He's angry. He wants to freaking kick my leg off. He's pissed off that I just checked his leg kick. And he's now not setting up like he always does because he's usually so relaxed and really a thoughtful fighter. And he let the emotion get to him, and he tried to kill my leg. And I saw it coming a mile away. I picked up my knee, put it on the shin, and boom.
Another lucky victory.
Another bottom line, another lucky victory. But the crazy thing is, first of all, like the whole point of checking a leg kick like that, putting your knee on his shin, is it hurts them, and then it deters them from wanting to throw him again. You do it in sparring. Guys sometimes even have to sit down for like 2 minutes to It's very painful.
Even with
someone
the shin
checks.
guards.
It's miserable. Yeah, even with shin guards. I mean, you don't break their legs
No.
on most occasions, which actually has
With
happened
the
in the
leg
gym.
breaker and all the
There's a guy who broke his leg with that in the gym with shin guards on. But so then he throws it. I check it. Now when he sits down in pain, I'm thinking he's just in pain. I didn't think his leg actually broke. And I'm like, I win. I celebrate. I come back around. And then all of a sudden it felt like someone was being murdered. It sounded like someone was being murdered. Like literally the screaming that I was listening to was.
Did you see his leg?
Disgust. It was such a scary scream. So then I approach him. I'm like, why the hell is he screaming like that? And I seen him literally holding his leg together. And I'm like, oh my God. Then it went from being happy, I just won this fight, to a weird feeling. Wait, I'm supposed to be happy, but now this guy's
a
in
legend
pain,
of the sport.
is down. And then you got the other thing. They said my first win was lucky. Now what are they gonna say with this one? Like, shit, this sucks.
But
So
you defended it 2 more times after that, so you're obviously not lucky.
yeah,
Dude,
Yep.
ripped apart Vitor. His testosterone was like 10,000, something like that. But
These guys, yeah, it's unbelievable.
again, we're joined by Chris Weidman at Chris Weidman UFC on Twitter. Chris will be the co-headline event against Gegard Mousasi this next weekend, UFC 210. So, Chris, obviously, Gegard, he's a smart man. You know, he's picking up Vitor, and once the testosterone testing's in, once he's clean, and now you're on this in front of him. You know, and I remember hearing you with Ariel that you wanted to maybe thinking about a Robert Whittaker type of fight, and then all of a sudden Gegard, and he's nobody to scoff at. I know everybody might be sleeping on him just because he's quiet, but the dude's he's an assassin, and beautiful kickboxing, pretty good jiu-jitsu off his back, which I believe he has to use with your wrestling. How do you stay motivated to not let this guy slip away? Because I know you're doing all the media again with New York. Again, thank you for joining us. But how do you stay motivated to not let this guy slip past you and look forward or answer questions about the past and just focus on Gegard?
Motivated. It's the easiest thing in the world. I'm coming out of a slump. I lost my last 2 fights. There's no better opportunity for an athlete than when they're coming off losses. I mean, anytime that you have dramatic setbacks like I've had, it gives you the opportunity and it gives you the platform to bring it to a whole nother level, to get the glory on a whole nother level. And this is going to be part of my story. I got a lot I want to accomplish. This is going to be something that I look back on as one of my great moments. That I'm coming back from a point where people kind of writing me off. I lost 2 in a row. Maybe he's past his prime or this and that. Whatever people want to say. And I have the opportunity to prove all those guys wrong. I have the opportunity to prove my coaches right. There's no bigger motivation. I've been on the craziest win streaks. There's no bigger motivation than coming off losses like I've had. I just lost at Madison Square Garden. There's no worse. I was the fight. I was the New York guy. I got so much love there. It was everything I ever could imagine. And I made a mistake, and he capitalized. I lost the fight. I was down on my butt with blood running down my face in front of the people that loved me the most on the greatest stage that I could ever imagine, and I lost it all. Now I have the opportunity to come back from that. So that opportunity gives me just so much motivation and excitement because I'm going out there and I'm going to dominate Mousasi. I'm going to get my hand raised. And again, I'm going to be at the point where almost after the Anderson Silva fight, all those people who were down on me, how do you like me now?
Yeah, man, you said it. You said that. Stop doubting me. It's one of the greatest clips. But like you said, you got caught with the knee with Yoel, and everybody said that you were going to have trouble with Rockhold's strength. But I feel like he again just popcorn muscles. There's a difference between wrestling and then the gym muscles. And you were able to take him down. You were able to take Yoel down with ease. Now, you're about the motivation and telling the story. Is there which of those guys would you want to face to get the win over and something to just clear up the past for you?
Listen, I don't need to clear up the past. These are guys that I let go. It's the competitor in me right away. You want to get emotional. I want to get these guys back, but that's not the right way to deal with things. You don't want to be emotional. I let it go. Listen, I had a bad night. Just no different than any other athlete has a bad game. And right away, LeBron James has a couple bad games, and people are like, maybe he's not the guy he used to. He's having a bad season this year, and then all of a sudden, the next game he's crushing it again. The difference is with basketball, they have games every freaking week. In fighting, I gotta wait damn while. So I got these opinions on me without being able to answer with action. It takes time, right? Because I have to get another fight.
Yeah.
So those isolated events it doesn't make me who I am. That doesn't realize my potential.
And now you said you're gonna have your hand raised versus Mousasi April 8th in Buffalo. Moving on from there, you want a title shot. I'm assuming you want that title, a chance at the title again. But there's Bisping who keeps on, he has the belt and he keeps on getting, I don't want to say soft fights, but he's getting positioned in now GSP is going to fight him. Does that frustrate you? Because you want you want another title chance. So how does that feel for you to be like, all right, when do I get my shot? Why are we giving Bisping these, I don't want to say soft fighters, but different fighters than passing up on ranked fighters?
I could go all day about this stuff, but at the end of the day, you only can control what you can control, and I can't control any of that. And I just feel like everything will work out for me. I just got to go out and control the things I can control, which is winning this fight and winning whatever fight comes up in front of me. My goals, my long-term goals, I'm gonna be the 185-pound belt champ. I'm gonna win the middleweight championship again, and then I'm gonna win the 205-pound belt. I'm gonna do that, and the legacy will take care of itself. But at some point, those things will happen. My career is far from over. This is just the beginning. This is a part of my career. I'm on a roller coaster ride. I came all the way up. I had a nice way up to the top, and there was a nice drop with two losses, and now we got to go back up again. And so it's just the ride. It's the story.
Yes, sir, man. So are you saying you'd be able to take down and do the damage to John Jones if that match was ever to happen?
Listen, I'm not. Listen, I don't care who's there. It's what I want to accomplish. That's what I'm going to do.
And then what else after? Is there anything else after UFC or MMA, or do you just see right now these are your goals?
Movies.
Yeah, we'll see. Right now, the only thing that I'm focused on is fighting. The movies and stuff like that. I've had great times. I was on Kevin James' show. That's my boy. I've been on now 4 times, and I love it. But my true love and passion, everything I do is for fighting. That's where it's at.
And because your boy John Valente is here right now, so we have to bring up his fight versus Vitor.
Shogun.
Shogun, sorry,
Yeah.
my apologies.
Racist.
Sorry, Shogun.
Brazilian.
Amazing fight. Unfortunately, John didn't get the victory. Is there a way that we can get John to take the fight to the ground, wrestle a little bit? Because
You're a
dude,
great wrestler.
you are unbelievable,
Bro, you know what's so funny? Like people don't realize the little things that go on. This sport is 99.9% mental at this point. It's everything. If a fighter is confident and truly believes they're going to win, they're going to win. And honestly, the thing that holds back fighters a lot is if they're worried about getting tired. And it's held back me. It's held back a lot of fighters. And I think what happened to him, and I'm speaking for him, I never even talked to him about this, is a lot of weird things has happened that mess with him, I think. Number one, the fight before this when he fought the Russian kid.
Yeah, we still don't know
He
his
crashed
name.
out. He had inflammation around his heart. He was sick. He had a virus attacking his heart. So then there's no worse feeling in the world than feeling like you can't breathe or you're exhausted in a fight while you have to punch people and you're on a huge stage and you're getting punched in the face and you're exhausted. There's no feeling worse than that in the world, I'm telling you. And you're not able to follow your instincts. When you feel something in the moment and your body wants to do it, but your brain holds you back, that's what happens. That's really the science of it. And the whole goal is to be able to let your instincts just work, without it just flow, without anything holding it back. And if you're not confident in your cardio, that's gone. Doesn't matter how good you are. You're not going to be able to do what your body's telling you because your brain's going to be like, that could end up because you're going to end up getting too tired, and then that's a scary feeling. He has now fought in Brazil. He fought in Brazil once against Maldonado. He got exhausted. He had bronchitis. I know but people don't realize this. If he said it, it's an excuse. But I'm telling you, he had bronchitis. What was it? Ammonia.
Oh,
this guy
no.
had ammonia fight week in Brazil, in a foreign country, in a super hot, humid arena against a guy who's known for cardio. He's crushing the guy, but he's holding back on his stuff and his instincts because he's sick. He can't breathe. And he's in this extremely terrible place. Then he ends up losing the fight because he was exhausted. And then, again, happens to randomly get sick. He didn't even know he was sick against the Russian kid out here in Jersey. Now that feeling happens again. So all of a sudden, he's actually in really good shape out in, fighting Shogun out in Brazil. And he gets Shogun hurt in the first round.
Yeah.
And has the opportunity to finish the fight. And what did he follow his instincts truly? His instincts would have freaking finished that dude in 2 seconds. Believe me, I know his potential.
We picked him.
He held back a little bit because of these circumstances that no one else sees that happen in past fights and training or whatever. There's so many things that people don't see and don't understand in the game with that and things, and they wonder why something doesn't go the right way, and they build people and they make they draw conclusions off watching a fight and judge people based on a performance. It could be they could blame it on technique or whatever it is, but there's little things like that people have no idea.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we hope to see John come back and return successful next time soon. And we're looking forward to April 8th, UFC 210 versus Gegard Mousasi in Buffalo, pay-per-view. We're looking forward to it. And Chris, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate the time. At Chris Weidman UFC on Twitter. We really do appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you, buddy, and good luck April 8th.
Thank you.